This is episode 248 of the Focused Mindset podcast. And today we get to revisit something that I haven't talked about in a while. In the early days of this podcast, I talked a lot about how vibes surround you and you get to choose the vibes that you bring into every situation. And I have an acronym about that. My daughter recently reminded me, and I ended up sharing it in a group chat. And I thought, now's a great time to revisit it with you. So let's go. Let's have some great conversations using the solution-focused approach. I'm Cher. And as a school counselor, I've learned a lot about how to lead with hope. I've talked about it on the TEDx stage. It's what we discuss right here. And I want to thank you for following this show. You know you can head over to thefocusedmindset.com to get more. Right now, let's level up our mindset so we can be solution focused. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the Focused Mindset podcast. Here we are getting ready to launch into our next season. For me, I'm recording just after the new year, and I got to go to the Rose Parade this year. Do any of you guys wake up in the morning on New Year's if you wake up early enough and watch the Rose Parade? I have done that for years and years and years. And even though I live in Southern California, I've never actually gone to the Rose Parade. And this year, my husband was blessed with getting tickets to actually sit on the stands. And we were kind of thinking, it'd be great to go, but we don't want to go and camp out on the side and just like wait around. We want to be able to sit in the stands. And then when one of the people from work reached out, he's like, yes, I'm going to grab those tickets. And we thought it was just for the two of us. I'm like, cool, New Year's with the two of us. That's cool. And he looked on the email and it was for 4 people. And I was so excited. That means we had 4 free tickets. And we ended up inviting my middle daughter, Cassidy, and her boyfriend, Brandon. And they couldn't have invited 2 better people to hang out with on New Year's. They are fun. They are the type of people that just love having a good time, and their energy is so positive. Now, this year was a very particularly crazy year in California because it rained. Now, some people are going to be like, rain, what's the big deal? Well, just to give you context, it hadn't rained on a Rose Parade day for 19 years. Yeah, 19 years. And this year was the year that it rained and poured. And I know there's lots of people that I could have been hanging with that would have put them in a crappy mood. They may have been trying to hide it, but they wouldn't have been able to. I'm telling you, my daughter Cassidy just rolled with it. We went and bought all the things that keep people warm as much as possible, and we just rocked that parade in the rain. I'm wearing the sweatshirt that I got, and then I realized you can't even see it, so I'm going to try and move. So like a pretty rose. Oh my gosh, it has a big rose on it. It says the Rose Parade on it, and we had a great time. And at one point, we were hanging out, and Cassidy says, hey, we just got to choose our vibe. Don't you have something about that? Don't you teach something about that? You have an acronym? And I was so on the spot that I was like, well, yeah, I blanked out. So I had to literally look up my own acronym for vibes. And then I sent it and then it couldn't get out of my mind after that. It just couldn't get out of my mind because I knew I was going to do a podcast on mindset and refocusing our mindset. And then I thought, well, I mean, what's good? What's the good of me harping on how to have a good mindset if I don't talk about how to do that? And I feel like my acronym for vibes really helps people choose exactly what kind of mindset they need. It puts them in the mindset to be able to be the person that they can influence the vibe in a room. I find it to be very powerful. Because when you look up vibes, it's kind of talks about how when you walk into the room and you can feel a certain vibe and energy. And that's true. You guys have all experienced that, where you go into one room and the people there are just tense and you're like, what is going on in here? You go into another one and it's free and open, and you go outside into the air and you just feel like the vibe is different there than, say, inside a stuffy small room. And it just, it's not only the environment, but the people in it all encompass this internal vibe that we feel when we're in that space. One thing I do not like is when there happens to be there's a million different teachers, and I feel like the kids are put in a classroom each year with a different personality, partly so they can learn how to deal with different personalities than just their parents. But there are some teachers that just come in with a grumpy attitude. And until they've had their third cup of coffee, they're grumpy grumps. And I just think about when I was in high school, and I used to have a few teachers that I knew about where I'm like, oh, I feel so sorry for their first period. Their first period class just does not get their best, that teacher's best. Or maybe it's the one right before they go home. It didn't matter what kind of kids walked into that room on that day, because that teacher was spent, because they had been through it and their willpower was out. They're not teaching their best. They're just going through the motions. Those kids would come in and be like, I got out of that class, blah, blah, blah. The teacher doesn't like me. I don't like how this and that goes. And many times from visiting the classroom, I'd be like, there's just a vibe. There's a vibe, and the teacher doesn't realize that they're the ones bringing it. And so I think that this is a practice that you might learn a lot from, is because how can you? You're like, well, how I feel is how I feel. And then I walk into a room, whatever. I'm not the thing that actually influences it. Someone else is. What if you were the one? What if you walked into a room and because of your energy, it shifted, it changed? Now, we can say that in a classroom, one kid can shift the entire classroom. That's for dang sure. Every one of us that's been in front of a classroom can know that one personality, one kid, no matter what struggle they might be going through, the way that they choose to act, whether it be malicious or standoffish or rude, it can actually affect an entire classroom. And then the teacher's like, wow, they moved out of my class and I didn't complain at all because the whole vibe of the room changed. Look, we know it's true, but now it's time for us to learn how we can be the change maker. And it is by believing and knowing that you have the power to bring the vibes. You are the one that can go in and say, you know what? This place is going to be better off because I came into it. This place is going to have an energy that I would like it to have because of what I choose to bring here. Because sometimes I'm going to bring a calm. Sometimes I'm going to bring just a little spark that only I can bring. And that's part of you choosing to be the person that you were meant to be, and not shying away from it and not backing down. The person that you were made to be is authentically beautiful. And the people that don't appreciate it, well, then, maybe they just aren't the type of people that you should be hanging around. And I feel like many of us have dimmed our light and dimmed the person that we are to the point that we're not bringing the full self of who we're supposed to be in the space that we're in. And this is something that I've thought a lot about for myself, because I talk a lot about thinking before you talk, and how I myself have had to adjust how I approach conversations, because in the past, because of my family valuing people talking, I would just fill all of the space with words, talk, no, know everything, not no, but I know this, I know that, and have a word to say. And I've had to reevaluate that when I decided to bring some of the practices from counseling into my everyday world, where I said, I don't want actually to be the one that brings off the vibe like I know it all. I really don't want to be the person that has all the answers. I really prefer to be the person that's curious. It rings more true with my spirit and my heart that I can find out about people. And then also, in doing that, I had to evaluate, well, what about my also ability just to be able to bring a certain light to the room? How can I balance those two? Because I want to be curious, but I don't want to not speak up when it's time to speak up. And sometimes I don't get it right. Sometimes I do get it right. This acronym that I have come up with has helped me. And now it's helped hundreds of other people. I've taught it in many different arenas, many different workshops. I've put it in my workbooks, and I'm about to share it with you. This is something you can go back to my early podcasts and, oh my gosh, you can just see it all over. I've even spoken in other podcasts about this. You bring the vibes. Now I have a 2-page paper that I'm going to leave a link in. That's kind of like a free giveaway that you can get if you'd like. I'm just going to leave that link in the show notes if you want it. And it's a good vibes evaluation where you can go through 5 days of evaluating your vibes in different situations, because in different situations, you might bring a different vibe. So you can see a pattern to how you're approaching your life and your world. And then so you can begin to take a little control of that and choose the vibe that you have moving into each situation. Then it also, of course, goes through, it's like a little, I don't know, handout. You could put it on your mirror or whatever, that goes through the good vibes checklist. Now, what is it? V stands for values. Authentically living by what you believe in attitude and action. That is my definition of values. Figure out what you value. Take time to journal about it. When you think about it, ponder it and lean into, what is it that I truly, truly value about life, about love, about people, about my world. And then authentically living by what you believe in attitude and in action. And I stands for investigation, because I want you to be like having that big magnifying glass out and investigating the things you're interested in, and also being curious and interested in others. There's another I, interested. Being is two sides to those things. Investigating is when you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to find everything out. It's that gathering information without judgment thing. It might be that you're doing that about a subject that you recently have discovered that you love, and you're going to find out everything about it. It might be that you are walking in interested to a party where you're like, I'm not interested in sharing everything I know, but I'm interested in finding out what all these other people know to enrich my life. But what is this? It's when you live curious and eager to find out all you can about your interests and dreams. You're eager about that. You're on fire about that. And you're curious about it. Doesn't that give you a different vibe already? If you say, V, what are my values? I am going to be interested, or I'm going to investigate. B stands for be bold. Yes, we want to be bold. Yes, we want to move forward with focus. Take action. Take action on what is the next right choice. That is being bold. The next right choice. It's not knowing every single step. It's not being a know-it-all. It's not being the loudest. It's not being the life of the party. It's being bold in who you were supposed to be. Bold in the person that you are meant to be. Bold in the fact that you have dreams, you have interests, you have goals, and you're going to make the next right choice in boldness. E stands for enjoy the journey. Enjoy this life. Enjoy the moments. Choose deliberately to enjoy. You could choose to be grumpy, like the rain was coming down, pouring rain. And I'm sure that there was some people that chose to just be like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that didn't even choose to come at all. But the people that were there, you know, we can choose whether we can be like, I can't believe I'm here in this rain, or just say, yes, we are here. We are going to choose to enjoy it. Enjoy the moments with your kids because they grow up so fast. Enjoy the moments with any person that you love, or the moments you've been given, even in the times that are also filled with uncertainty and maybe even sorrow. You could say, I know that things are going to move and they're going to move forward. I'm going to find some enjoyment maybe in just a cloud in the sky, a song that I heard, a person that was willing to encourage me in my time of need. But most of all, when you are in a moment, be in that moment. Don't let it slip by. Let yourself fully be there rather than be engulfed in your phone or scrolling or thinking about other things. When you're on your phone, it's like a weird thing. It's like, I think the thing happens when we're asleep. And even though there might be noise around us, we're so dead asleep we can't hear. I feel like that's what happens when we're on our phone sometimes. Like, we could get in such a zone of looking and focused in on it that we literally don't hear the things around us. But then some amazing parts of our world are passing right by, and we aren't even in the moment to enjoy it. So choose to be in the moment more often. Choose to enjoy the journey. I put under here, enjoy the journey. When you stop, you breathe, and you live in the moment. Focus on the unique moments of your life, your family, and smile. And the S for start again. Start and start again. When you look forward towards your life of adventure, ready to learn from the past and start fresh. We all have a past. Some of our past speaks to success. Some of our past speaks to failure, but we can learn from it either way and choose to start again. Maybe it's starting again on our health journey, starting again on rebuilding a relationship, starting again with having a fresh attitude, starting again with walking into our workplace with the vibe that we want to have. How do you want to be remembered, for goodness sake? How do you want to be looked at in this world? It's up to you what vibes you bring. And you can choose a vibe that is in line with your values, that's full of interest and investigation, that comes with your own recipe of boldness, with your ability to enjoy the moment, and with your willingness to start and start again. Good vibes surround you. So choose the vibe that you bring with you into every situation. All right. That's the message that I have for this short and hopefully impactful podcast for you. I know it's going to impact me, because when it comes down to it, it's easy for us to forget. It's easy for us to get in a grumpy attitude. Sometimes we just got to be real. It's because we're hungry, we're hangry, we've had enough. There was moments of that in our weekend where we just got lost and we couldn't get to the game, and everyone was like, "Urgh." And I think all of us stayed pretty chill, but inside our mind, we're probably like, we've had enough. We can be honest about that, and we can still regroup, and we could still bring a vibe that is authentically who we truly want to be. Let other people be who they're going to be. Don't let the traffic and all this stuff get to you so much that it changes who you are, because your light matters and the person you are and your family matters. And until next time, live solution focused.